In the 1960s, there was a large amount of interest and demand for sociology at both the undergraduate and the graduate level. Then afterwards, this demand steadily declined, reaching a low. But since then, there's been a slow increase, but not up to the levels that existed before. It's reached more or less a steady state in the last 15 years of approximately 30,000 bachelor degrees and 5,000 associate degrees. Part of this decline in interest, of course, is due to the general decline in interest in what might be called the weak social sciences, humanities, and languages, because these degrees are not seen to be useful for careers and making money. But college demand has also declined in part due to the high increase in the cost of education. We feel that there is actually a large unmet demand for sociology that we want to describe to you because it represents an opportunity.
There is signs that a sizable number of college students might choose sociology as a major if they could find some good answers for how to make social reforms. 4 pieces of information support this assertion. An international study of startups found that 1/3 of them were not-for-profit.
Another piece of evidence supports our idea that there's a large unmet need is a study of 10,000 millennials in 36 different countries. When they were interviewed, almost a half of them said that they expected to leave their job in the next 2 years because they didn't want to work for companies that they believe are largely concerned with making a profit.
The fastest growth sector in the job market recently has been employment in NGOs. The people who enter these organizations are, by definition, not primarily interested in making a profit. Clearly, these students might find sociology attractive if it offered them a path forward.
As another piece of evidence for this unmet demand, the sociology department at the University of Michigan created internships in NGOs. This increased their undergraduate enrollment, dropped the number of people who quit the discipline, and especially among minority students, and created a favorable opinion of the department for the dean. We think this demonstrates the interest among Gen Z people in the idea of reform. Another indicator of how much people interested in reform would want to go into sociology is the book by Lipset. Published in 1994, it documents that for 5 decades prior to that, most of the students who went into sociology did it with the idea of reforming society. We think that's still true today, and it's certainly true for the 2 of us.
To increase enrollment, sociology as a discipline, must reinvent itself with a theory about social reform that would attract majors, graduate students, and most importantly, increase funds for research. The need for reinvention has existed for some time. Already 3 decades ago, there was a special issue of the journal Sociological Forum that addressed this question, and there are other articles.
To make matters worse, there is considerable diversity in the number of problems studied in the sociology discipline. After all, anything that people do is social. An indicator of how much diversity is in the number of sections in the American Sociological Association. There are 53. From this, a number of undesirable consequences flow. There's little agreement about what should be taught in introductory sociology. It depends on who is recruited. And there's great diversity across the different departments in the discipline. This means there's not a coherent vision of the discipline of sociology, which impacts on the deans and their willingness to support departments. It leads to lower faculty salaries, less effectiveness in the recruitment of students, and perhaps worse of all, no funding for research.
We must admit that sociology has brought some of these problems on itself. Sociology has been very good at describing problems, but has not offered solutions. This results in advocating policies that have been ineffective, like affirmative action.
We propose that a solution to all these problems is to give sociology what is missing, namely a mode of coordination. Economics and political science have modes of coordination, market coordination and state coordination, that allow them to make recommendations for reform and affect policy. If sociology is to have any effect on policy, it must have its own mode of coordination.
This new coordination mode, which we call SCIONS, is a network, a systemic network of organizations. The network has a coordinating organization that provides a forum for discussion where problems can be overcome and solutions can be sought. The coordinating organization also supplies support services to the members. And most importantly, it provides a means of measurement of performance. The measurement is used for evaluation, and that evaluation stimulates further change.
Evidence for the ability for SCIONS to solve problems can be found in our book, Saving Societies from Within. It's a study of Nicosulu in Nicaragua that was formed after Hurricane Mitch. The study demonstrates that not only was there a lot of institutional change, but it was able to improve the health care of pregnant women and young children, and in particular, increase the amount of equality in the society.
To illustrate SCION's capacity for reform and solving complex social problems, we have just published the book, Solving Crises in Capitalism and Democracy. It suggests how SCIONs can create faster economic growth, more people with diverse skill sets, customization of health and welfare services, and finally, a better balance between order and freedom in local communities. Together, these institutional changes are likely to lead to greater equality and reduce the tendency toward authoritarianism.
In summary, the need to solve much more complex problems means that SCIONs will speak to that unmet need that we discussed. Furthermore, the creation of a large number of different SCIONs, especially at the local level, will create many opportunities for research that provides jobs for sociologists. The implications of SCIONs for policymakers means that it will gain power and prestige. This in turn will make the deans of universities sit up and take notice and start supporting the departments more. And in addition, it should lead to a central core in the sociology department rather than it just being a series of diverse topics.